open up our hearts by being humble.
Lamp unto my feet.
Brothers and sisters, today in the Gospel we encounter the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. The Pharisees were known for their self-righteousness. See, there were various types of Pharisees during the time of Jesus. Some of them were called bending Pharisees because they walked bending to show that they were humble. And there were bleeding Pharisees who walked closing their eyes for the fear of seeing women. And they went and hit against walls and they started bleeding. And they were called bleeding Pharisees just to show that they were self-righteous, or rather they were righteous people. And there were wait a minute Pharisees who would say, wait a minute, when someone came to them for some assistance or some advice, just to show that they were doing something good. See, they were condemned for their self-righteousness. And this self-righteousness is a temptation that we need to overcome during this season of Lent. See, this temptation can come into our lives as well, to think that we are doing the right thing, to think that we are okay. That is a temptation from the devil. But this temptation we need to overcome, particularly during this season of Lent. And on the other hand, we have the tax collector who was humble enough to accept that he was sinful. It is humility that paved the way for the Lord to enter into our lives. If we are humble enough, we can pave that way for the Lord to come into our lives. And then the Lord can take possession of our lives. And that is what the Lord wants us to do during this season, particularly to open up our hearts by being humble, not to give into the sin of pride by being self-righteous. Self-righteousness resists God's grace. It is humility that opens the way for God to enter into our lives.